Help me reach my goal and subscribe. And hit the bell icon.
Chapter 68-76. Charlie and Claire did not plan to go to the party in the evening. The elders were both very interested. After finding out the details, they planned to go there in advance to join in the fun. Bernard Arnault really wanted to take this opportunity to get some free use of Tavanna's influence. So he invited her warmly and hoped that she could sing a few songs for everyone at the party tonight. In order to create a high-end atmosphere for the guests, the Seaview Bar originally had a full set of performance equipment. And there was also a band playing live on weekdays. If Tavanna could sing a few famous songs here casually, not only would these guests be very happy, but more importantly, the video would be uploaded to the internet. And it would definitely attract the attention and praise of netizens all over the world. In this way, the popularity of Whitehorse Island would be spread out at once. Moreover, the Whitehorse Hotel is not the only one. Many resorts around the world have their own direct-operated stores. As long as Tawana sings a few songs here, and makes the video popular on the internet, the Whitehorse Hotel can get more than 1 billion exposures. Even millions of dollars in marketing costs may not necessarily produce such an effect. When Bernard told Tawana this idea on the phone, Tawana looked disgusted. She said to her parents, "This Bernard doesn't look like the richest man in the world. He always thinks about saving money and getting something for free. Now he wants me to sing a few songs at the party. If it were such an occasion, he would have to pay at least a few million for the appearance fee, right? He is so rich, but he never mentioned the fee." Tawanna's mother smiled and said, "Baby, remember, the richer a person is, the more calculating they are. It's not that he is reluctant to spend the money, he just thinks it's better not to spend it if possible." After that, she reminded her, "If you really don't want to agree, just find a reason to refuse him. You can say that you are not feeling well recently, or your throat is not feeling well. I believe he won't keep asking for it." Tawana nodded. "Then I'll tell him that I had 20 concerts in a row recently and I need a rest because I overused my voice." Tawanna's father said, "I think it's better to do him a favor and sing 1 or 2 songs at the party." "That won't do," Tawanna's mother said dissatisfiedly. "Can't you see that Bernard just wants to take advantage? From the time we landed on the island until now, he hasn't even said a word about covering all our expenses on the island. He didn't ask for an appearance fee when he invited my daughter to the party. Now he even wants her to sing. Why should we go along with him?" Tawanna's father smiled and said, "You can't look at the problem so one-sidedly. Just seeing that singing doesn't pay off, he is indeed taking advantage of us. But have you ever thought about it? If this matter is exposed to the internet, and the video of my daughter singing at the party is uploaded to major platforms, it will also be a very good publicity opportunity for my daughter. These days, when big stars do down-to-earth things, they are like gods descending to earth in the eyes of ordinary people. And they will make the people particularly moved. A top singer like my daughter walks into a bar on vacation and sings a few songs for the bar's guests for free. If you post it online, I don't know how many people will be crazy about it. Besides, we are interacting closely with guests in the bar of the Whitehorse Hotel. The official group of the Whitehorse Hotel will definitely seize this opportunity and invest a lot of money to seek exposure in the entertainment media around the world. At that time, he will spend money to help them package and promote with us. Also, although Bernard is very stingy, he is the boss of so many luxury brands after all. There will definitely be a lot of cooperation opportunities in the future. Although he is stingy in private, his public cooperation is in accordance with normal procedures. The money that should be given will definitely not be less. So what if we just treat it as a favor to him? For us, all the costs are nothing more than our daughter singing a few songs. We promised Bernard, which seems to be altruistic. But in fact it is also self-interest. In the current business market, altruism is often a better self-interest. Tawana and her mother fell silent at the same time. Thinking carefully, Dad's analysis just now is actually very reasonable and objective. Sometimes you really don't want others to take advantage of you. But if you think about it carefully, if there is an opportunity for win-win cooperation, it is not a bad choice. Although he gets a few of her songs for free, she also takes this opportunity to promote the other side of a star that is more down to earth. So Tawana nodded and said, "In that case, I will agree to sing a few songs at tonight's party." Tawana's mother reminded her, "Baby, listen to your mother. You will sing 3 songs at most." Tawana didn't know why she thought of Charlie again, so she said, "Sing 4 songs. I want to add another song by someone else." "Ah?" Tawana's mother asked in confusion. "I can understand you singing 4 songs. But why do you want to add someone else's song? Isn't it good to sing 4 of your own songs?" Tawana said absent-mindedly, "I want to sing Sao's Assassin. I like that song very much." Tawana felt that if her singing at tonight's party made the headlines, then she must seize this opportunity to express her feelings to Charlie from a distance, and Charlie would definitely see it. Tavana's mother didn't have the concept of altruism. She felt that her daughter was at a disadvantage when she thought of her daughter singing other people's songs publicly, so she advised her earnestly, "Baby, it doesn't matter how many songs you want to sing. But it's best not to sing other people's songs. Why bother making wedding clothes for others?" Tavana shook her head and said firmly, "Mom, don't persuade me about this matter. If I only sing 1 song, I also want to sing Sao's Assassin." Her mother looked helpless, but seeing her firm attitude, she could only nod and say, "Okay, just make your decision." In the evening, the sky gradually darkened. The guests who got the news had already surrounded the Seaview bar, and everyone was waiting for Tavana to appear. Tavana changed into a satin-embroidered kyeongsam, carefully combed her hair into a Chinese hairpin, and looked at the mirror for a long time, feeling particularly satisfied. Bernard and his wife also came to the door of Tawana's villa. They brought a fleet of golf carts and prepared to go to the bar with the star of the show. At the same time, in the sea 100 kilometers away, several black speedboats were speeding at high speed. Each speedboat was equipped with 6 super-powerful marine engines and was very fast. On these speedboats, there were at least 40 masked men in black with live ammunition. They were crouching and checking their weapons and equipment in the open cabin. The direction of their sail at high speed is the White Horse Island. Chapter 68-77. In the Seaview bar on White Horse Island, every guest was looking forward to Tawana's arrival. The hotel prepared cocktails for all guests. Everyone is drinking while waiting for Tawana. The atmosphere is very warm. Many guests held mobile phones with the video function turned on in their hands. And the mobile phone cameras are all facing the entrance of the bar, because they are afraid of missing the moment when Tawana appears at the venue. At this time, the members of the bar's resident band came on stage one after another. Several brown-skinned Filipino musicians stepped onto the small stage in the center of the bar, picked up their instruments and prepared to play. Nobody is paying too much attention to these band members, because most of the guests had been to this bar before today. And there are resident performances in the bar in the evening. However, what everyone didn't expect was that after these musicians came on stage, they started to play one of her famous songs. Fans who like her are naturally very familiar with the prelude melody. No one expected that the resident musicians would play this song. They thought it was the band livening up the atmosphere. However, after the prelude, Tawana"'s singing voice suddenly came from the scene. Everyone was a little stunned for a moment. If it were the resident band covering her song, the sound couldn't be so similar. Moreover, the female singer of this band was holding a handbell and swaying to the rhythm happily. She didn't even start singing. So, where did the singing come from? Was it a CD played live? But this didn't make sense. After all, these musicians were playing live. It was impossible for Tawana"'s singing to be played simply from a CD, right? Just when everyone was confused, a tall and beautiful woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a Chinese gyeongsam. Suddenly, a person walked out from the passage behind the small stage for musicians to go on stage. The beautiful woman was holding a microphone in her hand and was singing as she walked out. Someone at the scene immediately recognized the woman, and she exclaimed, "Ah! It's Tawana. It's really her." The surroundings suddenly burst into shrill exclamations. Everyone who could sing this song couldn't help but jump and scream on the spot, singing along with Tawana. The atmosphere at the scene was suddenly warm. Not to mention those young people who liked Tawana, even Elaine was excited and jumped up and down. She couldn't sing Tawana"'s songs, but she still held up her mobile phone to shoot a video of him singing there, and then quickly lowered her head to edit her circle of friends, and added text. The top White Horse Island in the Maldives. The hotel specially invited the international superstar Tawana to perform on stage for us, high-end guests. Others spend a lot of money chasing Tawana to watch concerts everywhere, but we are the ones for whom Tawana came to sing for. This treatment is absolutely amazing. Before waiting for the stage, Tawana imagined 10,000 possibilities of public opinion. But she just didn't think that there would be someone like Elaine who would say such a thing. Charlie was browsing his phone in the hotel room and accidentally saw Elaine's circle of friends. He was speechless. His mother-in-law was indeed extraordinary. She would do everything she could to flatter herself, even at the cost of insulting others in order to elevate himself. She actually described Tawana, a top international superstar, as a bar singer, which shows how strong her skills are. Claire also saw her mother's circle of friends. Unlike Charlie, who only found it interesting, she felt a little ashamed, especially since Charlie could also see her mother's circle of friends, which made her feel even more ashamed. The two soon received a push from the short video platform. Top singer Tawana Sweet is on vacation in the Maldives and singing live in a bar. Come and watch the live broadcast. Charlie was puzzled. How could the live broadcast be turned on so quickly? So he subconsciously turned off the sound of his phone and clicked in to see that it was a live audience, who was broadcasting live on his phone in the audience. Millions of people soon flooded into the live broadcast room, and various barrage comments were swiping the screen at a rapid speed. Claire seemed to be interested in the live broadcast. So she reached for the Bluetooth headset and put it on. Charlie had a keen hearing and judged from the faint sound coming out of her headset that she was indeed watching the live broadcast. At this time in the bar, after Tawana sang the song, there was applause, cheers, screams, and whistles. These guests were very excited. They never dreamed that today's party would not only see Tawana in person, but also hear Tawana singing live, and it was such a close singing. Even if you stand in the first row of the backstage area when watching a concert, you can't get such a close distance and such good treatment. Chapter 68-78. After Tawana finished her song, she smiled and said into the microphone, "Hello, everyone, I am Tawana Sweet. I am very happy to be here with you to participate in this party. I also thank the White Horse Group and Mr. Bernard Arnault for the invitation. I hope everyone can spend an unforgettable night with me on this beautiful tropical island." The fans at the scene were completely crazy. At this time, Bernard Arnault and his wife also took the microphone to the small stage and said with a smile, "Miss Sweet is indeed the most popular singer in the world. The charm of her live singing is so addictive that even my old bones can't help but shake to the rhythm. I want to ask all the guests present, do you still want to continue to listen to Miss Sweet's moving voice?" Yes. The guests in the bar cheered. Tawana smiled and said, "Everyone should know that I held 20 concerts in China some time ago. The reason I came to Whitehorse Island was because I wanted to take this opportunity to have a good rest and relax. Mr. Bernard Arnault happened to be here too, so I accepted his invitation to attend this party. Since everyone still wants to hear me sing, I will sing a few more songs. However, the song I am going to sing next is not my own song, but the song of Miss Sa Jiu, with whom I collaborated at a concert in China some time ago. I have been very obsessed with her song Assassin for a while, and I hope everyone will like it." At this time, the audience cheered, but Claire's face turned pale. Although the volume of the Bluetooth headset is low, it seemed to be right next to Charlie's ear. When he heard that Tawana was going to sing Assassin, he was also embarrassed and fidgeted. So he said to Claire, "Wife, I'll go sit on the recliner outside for a while." Claire nodded a little unnaturally, "Oh, okay." Coming to the terrace behind the villa, in the sky without light pollution, the Milky Way was like a scattered pearl necklace. And countless stars were dazzling, rendering a deep and majestic space beauty. Charlie lay on the recliner, looking up at the clear Milky Way in the sky, and couldn't help but recall the 2 times he was obsessed with the starry sky. Both with Maria, one was to find the place where the mother of Put once grew up by the Genchi Lake. And the other was in northern Europe, when he and Maria saw the polar night sky, dotted with stars and various handprints, composed of mysterious auroras. But until now, he no longer dared to use that cheating handprint. He thought it was a magical handprint that could generate spiritual energy. But later he found out that the spiritual energy generated by the handprint was not for his use at all. And it would also drain all the spiritual energy in his body. With emotion, he couldn't help but look at the starry sky in a daze. He thought of Maria. In that era without light pollution, this girl looked up at the starry sky for 300 or 400 years. Behind this, there must be 100 years of loneliness that cannot be described in words. Just as he was slightly absent-minded, he suddenly heard the sound of a speedboat engine from a far distance, and the sound of the boat constantly hitting the sea. This made him alert all of a sudden. He had seen a lot of yachts and seaplanes in the Maldives. During the day, there were even dozens or hundreds of them circling around White Horse Island. But in his memory, those were all yachts, luxuriously decorated, but not very powerful. However, now the sound of the engine coming from a far distance was extremely fast and powerful. It seemed that there were dozens of engines running crazily. And it felt like they were speeding towards White Horse Island at a very fast speed. He had only seen speedboats of this specification in coastal cities. They were speedboats specially used for smuggling, commonly known as Dafei. The reason why Dafei needed extremely strong power was that he needed to maintain a very high speed even when fully loaded. As long as it could run past the anti-smuggling ship and not disintegrate. The faster the better, and there is no upper limit on the speed. Therefore, the back of this kind of boat would be full of large displacement and high horsepower engines. And it was common for a boat to have 6 engines. But the Maldives is a tourist island country, and the nearest big land is India. Who would be blind enough to run 600 or 700 kilometers by sea to smuggle things from India? Except for the inhabited islands, the average consumption level of all hotels in the Maldives is higher than that of Europe and the United States. They need luxury goods from Europe, drinking water from Fiji, and top ingredients from all over the world. It is not feasible to smuggle anything from Indian. Therefore, Charlie can be sure that these speedboats are definitely not engaged in smuggling. So, what are so many speedboats doing at high speed to White Horse Island? Although he couldn't guess the other party's specific purpose, he was sure that the other party must have bad intentions. He frowned slightly and thought to himself, if they have bad intentions, then who are they going after? Bernard Arnault. It's possible. After all, he was once the richest man in the world. If they were kidnapped, they would definitely make a lot of money. And Tawana, this woman is not a pushover either. A while ago, many assassins wanted to kill her. These people today might also be going after her. Chapter 68-79. At this time, 4 speedboats were running at high speed on the dark sea. The lights of White Horse Island were like a beacon guiding the direction on the sea, attracting the speedboats to run straight towards it. These masked men in black with live ammunition were quite similar to the men in black who attacked the Inn family in New York. All of them wore the same uniform and were equipped with the same equipment. They were highly disciplined. Except for the driver of the speedboat, everyone else squatted in the cabin with their heads down in the same posture, holding the handrail in one hand and the assault rifle in the other hand, staring at the front. About a mile away from the entrance of the sea-shaped bay of White Horse Island, a man in black in one of the speedboats said through the intercom, "All boats slow down and turn off the engines." The 4 speedboats immediately cut off the throttles, and the speed immediately dropped. As the engines turned off, the men in black immediately took out a carbon fiber paddle from their feet. And then everyone immediately began to row, at the same frequency and rhythm on both sides of the hull. Although the speed of the boat was very slow, there was no sound of the engine. And the sound of the oars sliding in the seawater was completely covered by the sound of the waves. The staff on duty on the island could not hear any sound at all, let alone see any light. The 4 speedboats were like ghosts on the sea, quietly approaching White Horse Island. However, I could not imagine the behavior of these 40 men in black. And they had long been mastered by Charlie. At this time, Charlie suddenly felt that these men in black were extremely well trained. And they might also be the dead soldiers of the warrior's den. But he also felt that it made no sense for the dead soldiers to come to this place. If these dead soldiers were coming for him, it meant that he had exposed his identity and whereabouts. But if Victoria knew his identity, it would be impossible for her to send only dead soldiers to assassinate him. She would definitely send one of the three elders. Or even the three elders together. So, where did these men in black come from? At this moment, the 4 speedboats had quietly entered the bay. During the day, there were still ships from Whitehorse Island blocking the entrance and exit. But after nightfall, those ships that came to join in the fun returned. And the ships from the island withdrew to the dock. After the 4 speedboats came in, the leader said on the intercom, "Most people on the island are having a party tonight. And our target must be there. After we land on the island, the first thing we have to do is to kill all the staff near the dock. And the second thing is to completely surround the Seaview bar where the party is held. Control all the people inside, and don't let anyone escape. After the target is solved, just follow my command and evacuate quickly. Do you understand?" The black-clad men immediately replied in unison on the intercom. "Understood." At this time, the black-clad men were very close to Charlie. They were at the entrance of the C-shaped area. The sea villa where Charlie was located, commonly known as the Water House, was at the bottom of the C-shaped bay and extended into the sea through 2 plank roads. The public areas and office areas of the island are mainly concentrated in the central part of the island. While above the island are tropical rainforest-style beach villas, commonly known as sand houses. Charlie heard the conversation between the men in black very clearly. What he didn't expect was that all of them spoke fluent Chinese. At this time, the leader of the men in black was still arranging tasks. He said in a cold voice, "After surrounding the Seaview bar, Team 1 and Team 2 will be responsible for the outer perimeter security. Team 3 will be responsible for a carpet search within 300 meters of the Seaview bar. All living people within the visible range must be killed, leaving no one alive. Team 4 will follow me to the inside of the bar. Do you understand?" "Understood." Chapter 68-80. Everyone answered in unison again. Then, a voice came from the intercom. "Sir, do we need to search and clear the guest rooms on the island?" "No need." The leader of the men in black said coldly. "We are going to do something big this time, that will shock the world. So we will not cut off the power supply on the island, nor will we destroy the island's communications. Once I enter the bar, the tourists or staff in the bar may ask for help from the outside world through their mobile phones. The Maldives army is more than 100 kilometers away from here. They need to gather and take a helicopter to rush over. It will take about half an hour to 40 minutes, at least. This time is enough for us to complete the mission and evacuate calmly. But it is not enough for us to clear the island and leave the guest rooms. However, if someone comes to die, as long as they appear in our range, we will kill them as soon as possible." "Understood." Charlie heard this and thought to himself, "Are these people terrorists?" However, he thought about it again and felt that it was not right. Most terrorists are informal armed personnel, including fanatics, gangsters, cults, etc. Although these people are cruel and ruthless, they have no organizational discipline, and do not have real modern military literacy. They are best at holding AKs and shooting blindly. It is natural for them to deal with civilians effortlessly. But if their combat effectiveness is really measured by the standards of soldiers, they are not even as good as the ordinary army of third world countries. This group of black-clad men are different. They are soldiers trained with the standard modern military system. Even if they are not regular special forces, they are at least mercenaries who are not stingy with regular special forces. And they are very well trained. A phoenix cannot fly out of a chicken coop. Such high-level soldiers are definitely not something that terrorist organizations can train. Originally, Charlie felt relieved when he heard these black-clad men say that they would skip the guest room area. It seemed that there was no need to wade into this muddy water. But after thinking carefully, he felt that he had to ignore this matter. His unlucky father-in-law and mother-in-law were still at the party. No matter what, they could not come out for a vacation. He originally planned to sleep for only 4 nights. But they ended up staying here to sleep forever. So, he hurried back to the room and said to Claire, "Wife, are you tired? Do you want to take a rest?" No, Claire was watching the live broadcast. She took off one of her headphones and said to Charlie, "Why are you tired?" Charlie didn't have time to play dumb with her. He simply walked up to her and said gently, "Wife, you are tired. It's better to go to bed early." After that, he patted her shoulder, and a stream of spiritual energy passed into her body through his palm. Claire felt very sleepy and couldn't open her eyes. She said dazedly, "What's the matter? I feel so sleepy suddenly." Charlie hurriedly helped her into the bedroom and said in her ear, "You must not have recovered from the long journey. You should have a good rest. You will definitely be refreshed when you wake up." As he said, he put her on the bed. Claire was so sleepy that her mind was already a mess. She said in a daze, "I'm really too sleepy. So I'll go to sleep first. And you should go to bed early too."